First hop redundancy protocols are used to provide high availability and reliability for the default gateway in a network. Okay, that is for protecting the default gateway. So we have three main protocols. We have Hsrp, that is Cisco proprietary, and it allows multiple routers to work together as a single router and ensures that if primary router fails, a backup router will take over. We have VRRP, that is an IEEE standard, and that is similar to Hsrp. It allows multiple routers to share a virtual address with one router acting as the master and the others as backups. And I have the GLBP, Gateway Load Balancing Protocol. That is Cisco proprietary again, and it provides redundancy while also load balancing of the traffic among multiple routers. Okay, so there will be multiple active routers which can forward packets for the same virtual IP with GLBP. So Hsrp, again, that is a Cisco proprietary first hop redundancy protocol to ensure high availability for IP networks. And the key features are, first of all, Hsrp creates a virtual IP address and MAC address that routers share and appearing as a single default gateway to the clients. Okay? And then one router is elected as the active router, which is forwarding the traffic, while the other routers remain in standby state and they are ready to take over if the active router fails. So if the active router fails, the standby router takes over the virtual IP address, ensuring the seamless connectivity without manual intervention. Okay, so in here you could see there is a virtual IP. Okay, that is this one. Okay, so virtual IP and virtual MAC addresses are shared between two routers. There is no load balancing, and there is one active gateway and the other one will remain standby. So what I'm doing is, as the gateway address of this client, I'm not going ahead and configuring the IP address of this router's this interface or this router's this interface. I am just configuring the gateway as the virtual IP of the Hsrp in here. So that will ensure, let's say, if I would configure 10.2 for my PC as a gateway and this router would fail, then the traffic would fail as well. Okay, because the gateway was supposed to be 10.3 this time. But when I'm going and configuring 10.1 as my gateway, even this router fails, this router standby one will take over this virtual IP and then it will continue to work seamlessly from PC's perspective. And how I am choosing the active and the standby gateways. Okay, so each Hsrp router is assigned a priority value. Okay, and the default priority value is 100. So the router with the highest priority will become the active router. Please pay attention, with the highest priority. If two routers have the same priority, the one with the lowest IP address will become the active router. Okay, so there are two things we are considering: priority value, default 100. The one which has the higher default priority value will become the active. If priorities are the same, then the router which has the lowest IP this time, will become the active router. Okay, so active and standby routers exchange hello packets each 3 seconds to Hsrp group address, okay, to see if the peer is up or down. There is something called Hsrp preemption. Okay, so if active route fails, standby router becomes active and still continue to be active even if the other router becomes back. So if you go ahead and configure this preemption, that will force a new Hsrp election process. Okay. So let's continue with Hsrp states. Mainly we have the initial state where the router is not yet participating in Hsrp. We have learning state. The router has not determined the active router and is listening for Hsrp messages in this stage. We have listen state. This is where the router is aware of the active router and is listening for hello packets, but it is not yet active or standby yet. Okay. In the speak state, the router sends its own hello messages and participates in the election process, indicating that it wants to be an active or standby router. In the standby state, the router is designated standby router and will take over if the active router fails. And in the active state, the router is the active router which is forwarding packets for the virtual IP. So how I am doing the configuration for Hsrp? Okay, let's continue with router 1 configuration first. First of all, I'm looking to the interface, and this interface is gig00. Okay, I'm assigning an IP address 30.2 to this interface. Okay, and then for router 2, I will do the same thing. I will go to gig00 interface that is connected like this, by the way. I will go to the gig00 interface for router 2 and I will assign this IP address 30.3. Okay, and then what I need to do, I need to configure my virtual IP. The virtual IP is 30.1 for this case. So I'm going ahead and defining a virtual IP for both. So they are aware of the virtual IP, which is 30.1. And then for router 1, I see one configuration that is configured with priority of 150, which means this will become my active gateway, right? Because the default priority was 100 and the highest priority was becoming an active. So that is why I'm configuring a 150 priority for router 1, because I want this one to be an active, and I am also configuring the preempt. So how the traffic flow will be? The traffic flow will come from this way, go through the router 1, it will go through this wide array network link with this configuration. If I just want to verify my Hsrp configuration, the command is show standby, and it will show you the group, it will show you if the state is active or standby, what is your virtual IP address, what is your virtual MAC, what is the IP address of your standby router, etc. You will be able to see each and every information.